Okay, let's talk about Egypt. Egypt often isn't considered Africa by most people. It's often referred to just by its own country name, Egypt. But it is part of Africa, Northern Africa to be precise. Whereas the rest of Africa, it touches your heart. Egypt touches your brain and makes you think about your place in history and your place in civilization. It is an amazing country and an amazing place to visit.
Now you can combine Egypt with one of your safaris in southern or eastern Africa to really give you a contrast of how Africa can differ from one end to the other. Often people begin their stay in Cairo, the entry point to Egypt. It's very accessible, with many flights in through the Middle East. In Cairo, someone would normally spend a few nights, whether it's in downtown Cairo, right on the banks of the River Nile, or over in Giza, close to the pyramids.
The size of these things and the historical value of the pyramids is incredible. You'll be pinching yourself as you stand beneath it and see the size of these things built thousands of years ago without modern technology.
During your time in Cairo, you'll spend some time sightseeing, visiting the pyramids, visiting the Sphinx, spending a day in the museum, visiting Memphis and Saqqara, where all the old artifacts have been brought out to life for you to visit and to take in and awe. To the north of Cairo, you have Alexandria, the seaside town on the Mediterranean. A great combination if you're doing a tour. And there's many different styles of tours you can do in Egypt, whether it's escorted or a scheduled tour, but often people like to tailor-make their own itineraries.
Now, most people with Egyptian trips will combine that with a cruise down the River Nile. And when I say down the River Nile, I generally mean up the River Nile. This is where it gets a little bit confusing. The Nile River flows from south to north and empties in the Mediterranean Sea, which means if you're traveling up the Nile, you're actually traveling from north to south. So up the Nile is down on the map, if that makes sense. Most of these trips will start in Luxor, which is only a short hour flight away from Cairo. And in Luxor, you have the amazing open-air museum of Karnak and Thebes on the east bank.
On the west bank, you have the Valley of the Kings, the Valley of the Queens. This is where Howard Carter discovered the remains of Tutankhamun. One of the optional excursions available to you when you're in Luxor is a hot air balloon flight, a wonderful way to watch the sunrise in the morning. When you're on your Nile cruise boat, you may have chosen to do a 3-night, 4-night, or even a 7-night cruise up the Nile to Aswan. During your time on the boat, it includes all your activities, your meals, breakfast, lunch and dinner. And during your time, you also have the peace and tranquility of sailing down the Nile. Stopping along the way, en route to Aswan, you'll visit Komombo, Edfu. Finally arriving in Aswan, where you have the beautiful Philae temple and the granite quarries. If you have additional time, why not extend to Abu Simbel?
Abu Simbel is a monument towards Ramses II and is incredible for 2 reasons. Number 1, it was moved in the early 1970s to avoid the rising flood from the Aswan Dam, but also my personal favourite for number 2, the small gap in between the 4 seated figures of Ramses II. On 2 days of the year, the light will shine in and illuminate the figure of Ramses II in the temple at the back. And the 2 days of the year, his birthday and his coronation date. How you can figure out the location of the temple so it fits in exact a way. The 2 days of the year, they're important to this king. It will light the temple in the back is beyond my comprehension. And that's why Egypt really starts to play with your mind. After the temples, maybe relax on the Red Sea, somewhere like Sharm el-Sheikh, often considered to be some of the best scuba diving in the world, World War II shipwrecks and amazing underwater marine parks.
If you have additional time in your journey over to North Africa, why not visit Jordan? In Petra, Jordan, you have the Treasury, an amazing monument that's been carved out of the cliffs. You may have seen it on the end of Indiana Jones, that's where it's most famous for. In the Dead Sea, the lowest point on Earth, the water is so salty and so dense that you can actually lie and float on the Dead Sea and use it as a great place for rest, relaxation and many of those spa treatments. Even combined with Aqaba and day trips out to Wadi Rum. There's many different sites that you can visit and amazing landscapes. All in all, whether you're doing Egypt or Jordan as a standalone destination or combining it with another stay in Africa on safari, it really shows a contrast of this beautiful destination and what it has to offer.